Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Paul Slack. I am pastor at New Creation Church in Minneapolis, and I am president of Isaiah. We are gathered here today because the people in our communities are suffering from the lack of economic dignity in the workplace and family security. We're here because of the inequities in our justice system and the crisis for children of color in our education system, and we're determined to break the school-to-prison pipeline. We're here because too many people in our state have lost hope in our democracy, and because this election can and must be different. This election must be about restoring our hope in one another, that we will create a community that works for everyone. It must be about the people in our society who feel invisible, about those who need their elected officials to be deeply connected to their highest values and aspirations. They need to be able to depend on them to stand not just for them, but with them. Many of our state leaders have committed to work with us, to listen to the stories of our community members who are suffering the most from our inequities, and to walk with us to understand how we can restore our state. But simply having conversations with our public leaders and community members is not enough. Studying the systemic issues facing our communities, frankly, is just not enough. Pastoral care for the people who are suffering the most is not enough. We're here to proclaim our plans to create a statewide faith movement that will unite tens of thousands of people from the African American communities, Latino communities, communities from the Twin Cities Metro and Greater Minnesota around our faith, our values, and a goal to win policies that will move our communities towards racial and economic justice. We will speak to those who are unlikely to vote this year because they have lost hope, because they have not found a reason to expect the leaders they elect will make things better for the people in their community. And we will pledge to stand with them, to see their problems as our problems, to see their children as our children. In this election and beyond, we are going to stand as a faith community to create a movement that is indeed about all of us, not just some of us. It is time for the faith community to come together, and that's what we're signaling here in this moment. At this time, Reverend Chris Belfi will come.
Good morning. I'm Pastor Chris Belfi from Valley of Peace Lutheran Church in Golden Valley. This winter, my congregation, along with more than 5,000 people in over 50 congregations across the state, participated in a survey asking about our experience in the past year with inequities in employment, healthcare, housing, and education. And it asked about our experience with gun violence, domestic violence, and incarceration. The survey became a window into our own community, revealing the hopelessness and sorrow of our people. We learned that many people in our congregations, including my own congregation, are suffering under crushing debt, suffering because they have been denied the dignity of work, suffering because of the actions and deception of predatory lenders, suffering because their families are being torn apart by broken systems of deportation and incarceration. My congregation is faced with the realization that inequity in our education system is just as real in the suburbs as it is in the urban centers. We support a remarkable local elementary school and their faculty by providing weekend meals for hungry kids, school supplies, winter coats, and regular tutoring. But it is clear that all the passion and love we bring to that school cannot balance a larger system of racial inequity in the enforcement of school discipline policies and cannot balance the achievement gap between white kids and kids of color. It is simply unacceptable that in our state, my son has a better chance of a solid education than another mother's son simply because of the color of his skin. As pastors and religious leaders, we learned that we can no longer ignore the problem. This election must be different. We intend to work hard to assure that this election will be different, that this election will be about making the people in my community who feel invisible feel visible again, that this election will be about the real lives of the people who live in our state, about our neighbors. This election will be about ensuring that every child of God is treated with sacred dignity. Thank you.
We do have a path forward that means that we're going to be accountable to ourselves, and we're going to be accountable to our communities to truly restore hope in a real way that we can measure. What are we committed to do? Isaiah is 100 congregations throughout not just the Twin Cities metro area, but also in the St. Cloud area. All of our congregations has committed to work together in our areas, to talk to people not only in our churches, but in our communities as well, to sign them up to be Prophetic Voices voters. So what's the specific number? We will talk to 56,000 people of faith in Minnesota who need to know that at this time we're going to stand together and work together until we have our values reflected in all of our communities. We're not just voting for people, but we're voting for ourselves. It's time that we stop looking at others who represent us to do the work. We're doing work ourselves because we've been failed. Our values have not been uplifted. We've been deserted in our time of need, and so we're standing for ourselves this time. We will do this together, and together we will make the difference and hold our public officials accountable. After talking with the 56,000 voters, we will turn out 15,000 of those to the polls who will vote as prophetic faith leaders. We will stand together as leaders and faith people who are committed to each other for an agenda that reflects what we need. Some of that will be about closing the school-to-prison pipeline. Some of that will be about economic dignity. Some of that will be about all the people in our community having civic inclusion. We will stand together for transit equity, for family security. We will do the work that it takes for all of us to live out our values in the state of Minnesota. Our hope in this election must be rooted in real, accountable relationships with each other and with the people we elect. It's not just about what we're going to do through this election season, but it's also about what's going to happen following people being elected by us and for the good of all Minnesota. Together we will establish a new relationship. It has to be based differently, that is accountable, that is based on the people negotiating with them for what we need. It must be grounded in how we must and will act together and lead with each other. Leadership is not just about who we elect, but it is about us and how we stand in faith together for the good of us all. That's how we will and must demonstrate our love for one another in the state of Minnesota. Tawana Williams will come with this up.
Good morning. My name is Tawana Williams, and I'm a member of New Creation Church in Minneapolis, and I'm a mother of 2 children. My family have struggled to make some hard choices. My kids have both been diagnosed with medical conditions. I spend a lot of time caring for them, but because I did not have enough support at my old job, I had to choose between keeping my job and caring for my children. I chose my children. The other things are materials. My children are everything, but this should not have to be a choice. So many families are struggling, and our safety nets are failing them. I was able to choose my kids, but others don't even have that impossible choice. We are working minimum wage jobs to put food on our table, and we are scrapping every day. I believe no parent should have to make impossible choices between one necessity and the other. I am working really hard to change things. I advocate for my kids to get a good education every day. I work with other parents that do not have the time nor the resources I do. When I vote this year, I am going to vote for change for my family and for all families. When I vote, I know I will not be alone. I will have thousands of other families standing with me to say we need change, not someday, but now. To me, this election is about hope. Hope that all families in Minnesota can unite with one another. Hope that the elected officials will act on the value of the economy that will work for our families. And hope that together we can make a change. I believe this is possible. I used to be one person trying to make a change, but now it's not just me. I am standing united with other people of faith. We vote together and we act together to ensure that every child has an opportunity to be just a kid, and that every family that comes behind me will not have to struggle like we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Tawana, and now Nillis will come.
Good morning. My name is Nelis Morfin Sanchez. I'm a member of Ascension Church in North Minneapolis and live in Brooklyn Park. I'm an immigrant who's been here for 17 years and has been raising 3 daughters. I've worked hard because I want my daughters and all kids to have a better future in Minnesota. I believe, as a person of faith, that everyone has human dignity and as children of God deserve good schools, health care, and to live, drive, and work without fear. My community has been working on being recognized and to live with dignity in this country, but it has been a long road. Many had given up hope in politicians and the American dream. But I believe things can change if we unite together, participate, and vote. We can show the strength of a community that works together. I'm not afraid to let my voice heard. By organizing and helping Latinos vote in this campaign, we are going to show the power of my community's voice and make the changes we need. We will not be silent until we create a community that treats us all with the love and dignity we all deserve. Thank you.
This election for us is about putting people back at the center of democracy. For far too long, we believe that our community and our democracy has been hijacked by partisan politics. It is time for us to work so that we can stop that dead-end train and begin a new one to lift up the values of all people. And by all, we mean all. Every one of us must stand together and work together so that we can create the opportunities that we not only need, but that we deserve. That's why we're standing here today, because God has commanded us to love each other, and love is in our hearts. And we're standing together for the good of us all. And we're going to create the accountability so that it's not just our words, it's not just a conference that we're having, but we're working to make it a reality by having a voice that means something to those elected. We're turning people out to the polls. And we're voting for ourselves. We're voting for faith. That's what this election is about for us. And come November, it'll be what this election is about for everyone.
Amen.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll entertain any questions you have.
Are you intending to vote against all incumbents?
Let me rephrase what I said. We're not voting against anyone. We're voting for faith and the agenda that we have as faith people. And believe it or not, we include incumbents in that composition. No, we're a nonprofit organization, so we do not make endorsements of folks who are running. We will engage people who are running. And we've asked for conversations with anyone and everyone who's running. We have a couple of commitments. Some are written in stone and some are not. But we're going to work to have those meetings, and we're meeting with people across party lines because we believe everyone needs to be in this conversation.
You mentioned contacting 50,000?
56,000.
56,000, and your voter objective is 15,000?
Yes.
What about the rest of them?
We talked to some really smart people about how we get to the number that we've had conversations with politicians throughout in terms of coming at this number and seeing what makes a difference. And if you notice in the last election, the governor won by, I think it was like 7,000 votes or something like that. So we think 15,000 might mean a little something to him. If we can, if we can turn out more than 15,000, absolutely. But we have a real goal that we've set, and that goal actually has meaning with the people who are running for election. Any other questions? Thank you all for being here. We look forward to engaging you all as we continue this campaign of faith. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.